good, my warriors? My name's Thew, and look at that. We're about due an extremely overdue megavid. Action stations then, cause it's an escurgency. A scourge-mergency. An emergent scourge. A big video about Scourge. I hope that was clear. I don't really know how to start videos. Now, if you've been with the channel for any period of time, you might have seen me completely forget to ever really talk about Scourge. Not on purpose, not as a diss, just a lot of robots, you know? And while efforts have been made to keep up with the rest of his thruple, we've stayed roughly current on Cyclonus and Galvatron's exploits over the years, but for one reason or another, Scourge always found himself languishing on the bench. So today I'm gonna do what I always do when I feel like I've screwed up. Panic, obsess, and overcompensate. I call it the poo system, and it's wildly ineffective. So what do you say we catch a swift sweep of every single Scourge toy that ever existed? Or at least that was the plan when I started this video in friggin' 2021. Oh, the long days of lockdown when Studio Series 86 was new and shiny, and Rise of the Beast was naught but rumors and leaks. Oh, there are so many Truck Scourge toys now. He's got too famous, he can't be stopped. This project has ballooned beyond manageability, so I'm altering the brief. We'll do Truck Scourge another day. He's blown up enough to warrant his own video. I covered the Dragon like 10 years ago. We're just gonna hit the blue ones. The G1 ones. These pricks. And the bug, because I've written it. Yes, friends, time at last for a deep delve into Scourge, the Tracker, and his husbands, the Sweeps. So Scourge originally dropped in '86 in tandem with a fresh front of retro future robo-friends and an 85-minute wad of marketing material in the first major shift away from pre-existing Takara toys toward original Hasbro-helmed plastic pals. And together with bad guy bosom brother Cyclonus, Scourge probably represented the most egregiously visible shift between the styles. Like, it never quite sat right with me that these two weirdos were introduced as just some new Decepticon jets. I mean, it makes sense that they call them that. That is what they are. But it's just jarring seeing them show up in the catalogue next to, like, Ramjet. Because this gorgeous creature is just about as unflinchingly weird as robot designs get, okay? I mean, you kind of lose objectivity when you've known a guy for decades and see him on the reg, but, like, he's got a laser pointer on his head and a moustache. How does that work on a robot? Dunno. I don't think it matters. Point is, Thor O'Deary was not a man who did normal. He did not, and he would not, and he should not have to. But the translation from cosmic sci-fantasy astro artistry into clunky under-engineered 80s plastic did not do poor Scourge Tankian any favours. He came out sort of weirdly stretched and slender, with teeny tiny bashful boogie arms and sort of oddly tippy-toed tracksuit trainers. He's making it work for sure. All the details are there. I appreciate the sharp silvery sticker serve. The face is so massive and disapproving. Call that a Scourge slurge. And he's definitely driving a distinctive skinny man Elan draped in his trademark kibble cape, looking like an aquatronic Ming the Merciless with his collar popped and peripherals blocked. And notoriously, Scourge is possibly the first example, if not the primo example, of the shell former phenomenon. Shell former phenomenon? And he never really shook it off. Like, look at it from the back. Pugnacious plates shamelessly shunted rearward. Legs are layered up with vast scoops nonchalantly shunted behind his feeties and hoping you won't notice. We did. But how can you be mad about it? It's already happened. He's fashioned it into a style, kind of, and he simply wouldn't be the guy he is without it. Scourge is the bot that defined clamshell couture. And honey, you will not catch me asking a guy to apologize for his contribution. Gotta say though, that transformation is pathetic. Literally, you just enclose him in his own cape and lay him on his back with just his face poking out? Was it worth the fashion choices you made? Yes. Because this alt mode is unquestionably iconic and exceptionally tidy. To be fair, the cape does its job wonderfully in concealing everything like a coffin with just the visible butt. Love that. The panel lines are pretty inoffensive and seamless, and the whole thing is such a vibe with the swishy cerulean swoop smile and its killer cobalt curves. Stickers are strong and striking with the gleaming Deceptor badges and like hull-mounted techno cocks. Love the three little rocket towers up the back end. Like, do you know what I mean? It's pretty solid for what it is, but that's just the thing, isn't it? What is it? What am I looking at? A spaceship? A soap bar? A space bar? I don't know. I guess much like Cyclonus, who just turns into a Cyclonus, this is simply a Scourge. It's one of these. It looks like that, and that's what's up. So how am I going to judge it? It's its own original, unique creation. I can't compare it to anything, so by default, top marks. You nailed it. Whatever it is, it was the best one of these that ever existed. So shut up. And that was about it for the formative Scourge era. He was kind of one and done. He didn't come back for an Action Master or a Pretender. It was just this one and the Target Master one, which this might be. I ain't got his gun and I don't know the difference. But what do you want? This is a perfectly serviceable toy that functions adequately as both Scourge and his army of indistinguishable duplicates. So why would they make a new version when you can just buy another one? Anyway, like a lot of the early years, lads, Scourge was such a ghost for the ensuing 20 years that the powers that be started throwing his name around like it wasn't even his. And fair enough, it is a sick name, but it seems to have been applied almost at random. We got like a bunch of spaceships, 2 monsters, and a badass truck. I'd watch that movie. I'd watch that Rob Zombie music video. So the first wave of recycled resurgence landed at the bum end of Beast Wars during the deep weird of the Transmetal 2 times. Yes indeed, say hello, and what the f is that, to Beast Wars Transmetal 2, or Botcon 2 Scourge. A truly nightmarish insectoid centaur, rocking up like the spectre of something cursed emerging from a maelstrom of haunted bug anatomy. Well, look at this bloody thing. There's just barely enough of a humanoid presence to spike it right down the uncanny abyss. Just a head, body, legs to the knee, and like one arm, with the rest of him lost to corruption like a mid-boss fight mutoid brundlefly. So I'm kind of aware how little use these photos are. Like, what am I looking at? Little Scourgy Prokofiev here is visibly the hottest mess from practically any angle except bang-on blinkered corridor central. His physique fully dominated by his big-ass bug butt, distressingly veiny wings, and eerily unbalanced arms. The left one's literally just most of a bug. It's got the whole head and a huge tangle of limbs just banged on there like whatever. And his absolute void of a face is just pitch black crusty insect skin with this horrible megalon mouth and 2 pairs of eyes, like a blasphemous mashup of 2 different species. Just the whole vibe of this thing is so much more rancid than a lot of other bug formers. Like, we love Mantero with his comical cartoony mischief mush. Transkeeto's just a housefly that stood up, while Scourge is so much more up, spiky, emaciated, asymmetrical, twisted, and evil, like something out of Blight Town. A truly disgusting little freak. And that's just my type. Transformation's one of those wonderful beastie period ones where everything kind of twists 90 degrees and he vogues himself into the gnarliest nightmare bug bastard you've ever seen in your life. Transmetal Scourge's beast mode brings the insect appeal as this horrible toxic rainbow badass hopper, bristling with skittering infestation energy, and an absolutely effulgent eyeball assault paint scheme, straight up looking like a prop out of a B-movie. God, the 90s were wild. I mean, the vibe here is definitely, Like, I love bugs. I've always been fascinated by insects and thought they were cool as shit, but I can't emphasize enough the discomfort this thing inspires in me. It's too big, too heavy, too spiky, too many venom-adjacent colors. It's weirding me out, and I appreciate it. Look at that big horrible bug head with antennae bursting out like antlers. Antentlers? I don't know. The eyes are so gross, all bulgy and segmented, and you can pop this one open to reveal an Energon chip or whatever that is. Oh, that's so gross. Look at it there, all inlaid and fleshy and glistening. It just looks like a slice of brain. Even the mouth parts creep me out. Like, they're oddly shaped and one of them's curling up, implying a sort of grasping feeding motion, which makes me tense up. Like, ew! Nothing about this thing is designed to be nice. Even the kid appeal fun time features are almost hostile. These enormous back-mounted missile flingers are like the opposite of fun. They're almost impossible to activate. You gotta push the switch super hard and get your hand in between the wings, but also try and keep out the way of the action. And even then it's impossible to aim, and you end up covered in metallic flecks because the paint's 20 years old and rapidly balding. Every time you touch the bloody thing, it just distributes glitter. Call that a Chromecast. But look, man, I love this. I love how blatant it is that they started with this and worked back to the robot. Because this is horrible, but at least it makes sense. It's big and ugly and honestly genuinely creeps me out just a tiny bit. Which, isn't that basically goals for any bug-themed monster? Transmetal 2 Scourge is a godless thing. And doesn't the fact that it's gradually disintegrating kind of add a 4D meta element to the pure discomfort of being around it? There's just nothing of its kind that looks or feels or provokes the same revulsion as this crumbling locust Scourge. My favourite Neurosis album. You know what, I'm gonna feel like a douche if we leave the dragon out completely, because this enormous orange oaf from TF Cybertron is a powerful presence not to be overlooked. Come on, he deserves a flying update. Now, forgive me, but I always found the beastie side of Cybertron to be its weakest. Like, Undermine sucked and I hated Recluse, leaving Scourge as kind of the best of a shitty category. A shattery. Like, this is all Impact. Just a hulking, humongoid, dragon-themed tank man whose sheer spectacle carries him through any amount of awkward tail clubs and wrong-facing arm jank. I mean, check out this intergalactic hyper-chad, looking like some lethally poisonous tropical flower, like he's on fire as we speak, with a phenomenal quadrupedal monster mode and flip-out triple heads. Absolutely gidorable. It even used to light up before the insides burn out. Just can't make him scream like I used to. Big Cyber Scourge here was the Grimlock of his moment, and possibly the biggest bot ever to bear the Scourge name tag. Given the choice, who wouldn't live a year as a dragon? And with that, the Scourge name inevitably settled back into its original host body, forming a whole squadron of varyingly successful spaceships, gradually spiraling towards the ideal version. Or at least the current version that I like and will inevitably look like shit in 5 years. Naturally, we're still having to sidestep the emergence of the edgelord truck boys. It's Optimus but nasty, we get it. But what's good about Spaceboat Scourge is that you can hoard up as many as you want and just be like, and the sweeps. So come on, let's get to the ships. It's our only chance. You know what, there's a lot of these. So before we tuck in, can I trouble you to thumb up this video and subscribe and consider becoming a channel member maybe? And do all the things that would help me stay afloat? That'd be nice. I am working my socks off here. So leading the fleet is Heroes of Cybertron Titanium Scourge. Oh, Titanium. I don't think I've reviewed a Titanium toy since they were on shelves. These hard-style Cybertronian heroes were some of the first G1 but modern toys to ever drop, as a well-meaning mob of die-cast metal mooks with the sole mission of setting your nostalgia receptors pinging, which is all we do all day long now, but in the mid-noughties it was actually a novelty. A naughtovelty. Like, this was the first Scourge produced in 20 years, so all it really had to do was show up, be him, and clock off early. And having soaked in some super serious Dreamwave War Within vibes, the Exo Canoe comes off a little pointier, little meaner, with respectable detail and that heavy metal hand feel. This must have been pretty sweet back in the day. I remember trying so hard to love Titanium Ultra Magnus, and this is way better than that. What a time that was. We truly were starved for nostalgia, so any meager scrape of it hit like a friggin' freight train. Is there a term for feeling nostalgia for a time when there was less nostalgia? Anyone? Germany, surely. Am I experiencing Olden Saddenbaden or something? Transformation is, like an overgrown Malamute, all coat. Honestly, it's the most half-arsed thing I've ever seen. In fact, I'd go as far as to say it's the least arsed. Unarsed, if you will. It's 4 steps, and 2 of them are feet. You just pop him open, and there he is. Napping. I kinda respect it though. It's like, what did you think it was gonna do? I applaud its brevity, if nothing else. Because look at this goblin. The body parts and proportions are all squonked. Those tiny skinny arms and miniature body clash violently with the vast wings, enormous feet, and oddly huge face. Posability is an extremely 2006 shit show. So 2000 and late. Like, the thighs are locked onto some of these. Ah, there we go. The thighs are locked onto some of those unidirectional tilts on a pivot that barely work. They were everywhere. The elbows go from like 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock until they give up. And I guess the feet are sturdy enough owing to their weight, but like, so? Congrats on being ballast. It's just stunning to me that none of this guy does anything. It's not like, oh, sure, it sucks a bit, but it's also gotta be a jet engine, so... It does nothing, and it's still this bad. And part of me wants to say, oh, it was early days, they hadn't done G1 for a while, but you know what they had done? Cybertron, alternators, masterpiece, friggin' car robots. Who made this? Was this outsourced? Who is responsible? Oh, I don't know, maybe I'm overblowing it. It's not terrible, but like in the way that having a rash isn't terrible. Moving on. Now, the next stop on our little excursion takes us to the head honcho of Botcon 2009's big 4-pack of Scourge and Sweep-themed repaints of the excellent Cybertron Sideways. Wow, what a packed sentence. Now, Sideways is another one we haven't really looked at on the channel, which is weird, because he's a straight-up banger. Get a load of this unnervingly abyssal creepazoid from planet Spiky Prick, coloured like the embers of the fire that torched the universe. Sideways friggin' rules, so I kind of resent resent giving him a first look through the lens of a slightly tame repaint in Scourge's clean blue uniform. But it is kind of a good fit for him. It's the correct kind of bot. Definitely giving weird guy from space with a sort of pseudo-caped dark side energy. Deeply dig the drapery pouring off his back, past these oddly knobbly hip balls and the aggressively shankish form of his legs, where he can stash these viciously versatile blades when he's not dual wielding or doubling up for a batleth-ass nightmare knife. Nightmare. He is a nightmare. Could this have been the inspo for his Movieverse mangler? Like, I know Truck Scourge generally has a sword, but the curve of it, the double-endedness, there's gotta be something there. Not sure what that other thing is, but it looks sick as hell. Love these pop-out frills like axolotl gills, with the see-through red planet key like an advanced graph decoder. Bit of a bummer it's had the sweet turncoat badge swap moment stripped out, but come on, Scourge don't play that. He's a good bad boy. And the fresh Botcon exclusive head sculpt there is, mechanically speaking, very funny. It's so tiny! I can barely see it. The trademark laser pointer hat is practically invisible at arm's length. I don't know if it ruins the whole thing, but it does kind of turn it into a joke, because Sideways' physicality takes up space, man. Like, the body's weirdly deep. It's drenched in mega weapons and extreme limb gangle. Even the original head is huge. This thing's just lost. And the facial features almost remind me more of Alpha Trion. Although that might just be beard prejudice, from me of all people. Now, the thing about Cybertron is that so many of its transformations are just like straightforward chunkathons achieved through continent-sized clods of plastic clunking about at basic right angles, while others pull off insane 720 hip joint gymnastics with unexpected arm asymmetry and flawless head-body hidey holes. This is wild stuff, especially coming off titanium. Holy shit. And the alt mode's a brilliant batarang of a thing, an insanely unearthly smooth operator, adorned with scorching silver space tats and red raw wing saws. That arm appendage thing's definitely designed for this mode, ain't it? Peacocked out like a threat display or some kind of exposed gland. It's willfully weird and it's working. And as an inherited space form, it's actually refreshingly un-Scourge-like. We got the cockpit shunted up the front, neat little Star Wars window, and the murderous wing silhouette, which if you pop those off, it gets real familiar real fast. Two brothers. It's kind of a different take, like a retcon Cybertron Scourge, not that one. As repurposings go, this is pretty bomb-ass. It's a good mold, it works as the character, and it's notable as the first guy to go to a Transformers show and get a little head. Doesn't sound like something I'd write, does it? Right then, onward to the 2010s with Generation Scourge. Now this is a classier kind of customer, hailing from the era of like Sergeant Cup, when they weren't really driving at G1 accuracy, but more a sort of updated homage. And I remember the timing of Scourge being super weird. Like the rest of the Unicron crew du jour dropped a good 2 years earlier in Universe 08, with Cyclonus content to just be Cyclonus and Galvatron beginning his decades-long streak of it up. I honestly kind of forgot about this toy at the time. You know that thing where you look forward to a toy for ages and then you finally get it and just bang it on the shelf for 10 years? Yeah, you do. But in retrospect, he's kind of a sleeper hit, injecting a fresh and different energy while bringing back all kinds of neglected Scourgy features. Like, we of course have the sleek, roundy physique and mean mustachy mush, but also the pink pinchy fingers for the first time, plus the con badge on the left boobie, first one since '86, bonus peripheral vision for his luxurious light piping, and a top-notch obnoxious collar pop. Which is fun to say. That bod's a satisfyingly solid layered lump, resplendent in royal blue with a striking plastic sheen. Legs are looking respectably sporty, all tracksuit and trainers and interesting polygonal shins. Shinteresting. While the arms are a fascinating configuration of cylinders and sinew. Check out those aggressive shoulder canisters, blasting attitude wherever he walks. And the guns, I think, are a Target Master reference, although they may have been preoccupied with pushing the 3mm clip system system. Like, they work fine on their own, but they can also totally spinister up. You can clip one on his head, or stash him inside his wings, whose ominous silhouette definitely lend him something of the night. But they're also secret on-body treasure chests. God, that 3mm clip system is such a 2011-ass feature. And in that spirit, he can join the equally excellent Pterodive and Tomahawk in the Great Figure Shit Hips crew. Can't believe our boy fell in with the GFSHC, because he's so nearly an all-timer. This is an incredibly impressive bot mode that would have trampled nations if only it could stand up straight. Come on, Bran Stark. When did I write this? Transformation is, in the truest sense, peak shit. Serious top level shit. Never seen before or since shit. I'm obsessed with how the arms work. The biceps slide out of the shoulders, pull a sick pivot and twist, and get so lidded to form perfect AA power cells. And the legs are also good. And check out this Boeing ass zoomerang. It's such a departure from the Scourge status quo, or status quurge, being as it has wings intentionally, a uniquely wide and flat form, like a deadly chevron, and again, the full frontal cockpit. Look at those windows. How big is this thing? Check the weird barn door landing gear and the pop-out noggin up the back, in case you want him to gut Ultra Magnus. Not a whiff of kibble or a sniff of shell. This is progress. So yeah, Gen 10 Scourge holds up like friggin' Atlas. I don't know if the Generations modernization movement was a total success, but Scourge absolutely is. There's a rare level of invention here that takes chances with the design and reveres the original without noshing it off. Better savor that feeling and all, because we're now barreling towards the accuracy obsession of the current era. Get ready for a whole lot of noshing. Just time for a quick detour into Kre-O Microchanger Scourge. It's a Lego man, before we crash way down to bitch-ass basics with Titan's Return, and probably the least good modern Scourge, which is also one of the weakest toys in both the otherwise triumphant Titan's Return range and the Prime Wars Galva trio. What a weird bunch these were. That whole era feels very lost to its own gimmicks in retrospect, and Scourge just feels like such an orphan, such an afterthought, abandoned to the Deluxe size while the others caught an upgrade to Voyager class. It's almost like they forgot Scourge was a character and went straight for the throwaway army builder's sweep. So Teen Titans Scourge here cuts an oddly feeble figure, all hollow-ass arms, floppy-footed limbs, and a big stupid square head brought on by the mandatory Titan Master. I can never say this right. Fracas? Is it Fracas? I'm going with Fracas. There's so much frustration built into this bot. I'm forever dismayed that so many of the Titan weapons ended up as like hollowed out husks because the little guys can't be in two places at once. Don't forget to buy a bunch of them. I guess Lady Fracas here gets a single point for having one bonus component. Componus. And I do appreciate the silver labels bringing back the pathetic rectangle pattern. Perfectangles. But the unflinching head-to-toe sleepy time blue really just locks him in as a low-impact vapor face that barely registers even while I'm looking at it. I got nothing, man. He's like blue smoke. Transformation throws in a pretty fun grundle pull, like an inverse Sub-Zero spine yank, but the top 50% of him just kind of chills out and gets loosely draped by the back panels. Really milking that Headmaster shortcut, right? I think I would have preferred a shell former. Your granddaddy invented it. All mode's decent enough, though. It's kind of a nice little starfighter with some decent detail on the go. I love the fake-out head pylon, the little mascara wing flips, and the engines that are actually hinges. That's neat. Titan Master cockpit's kind of cool too. It's just nice to see this alt mode with some actual utility. All that said though, I'm not sure if it does enough to save the toy. There's plenty of form weirdness uglying it up, like the crap shin flaps just bunged underneath with nowhere to go, and these horrible heel corners shatter in the profile, and you know, the small matter of the entire torso flagrantly visible under there. I don't know, it is definitely better than the robot mode, but I don't think it makes up for it. Just the fact that the robot mode needs making up for is pretty damning. That's half the toy. Maybe it's better if you got 6 of them, but to me, this Scourge just feels like a bit of a Titan's Return misfire. No, not him! Which brings us to our final bot of the night, and the current version of this version of our esteemed host, as part of the Kingdom/Legacy/Studio Series Unicron Polycule. God, that was stupid, wasn't it? That pocket of time when we had two concurrent Generations lines, one based on Movieverse, one celebrating Beast Wars, both rammed with G1. So dumb. Now, I feel like Studio Series 86 Scourge here was only in Studio Series 86 to get the backdrop, and it was worth it. Like, we've covered this. I don't love the backdrops, and I never did, but this is the best one. It's pure 80s futurist arcade imagery. Blast in the Battlezone neon green light grid, complete with laser mummified Insecticons. This was the closest early Transformers got to like a Sailor Moon magical girl transformation moment, and it's unforgettable. Still binned it. And after the shower of strange we've weathered today, it's difficult not to see this as the platonic ideal of a modern Scourge figure. Like, the Voyager size class finally gives him room to breathe and relax into his bizarro form, rather than seemingly fighting it off like the others did. And the results are tremendous. This sucker is pure magic, finally flaunting the full expressive flair of Scourge's fierce form. The kinky boots, the rippling tum, the strikingly square collar, the dramatic painted fingernails. Actually, what's with the nails? It's called I'm Enjoying My Life. Is that alright with you? This is simply the best Scourge has ever looked. The head's fine and fresh, like a more animated, organic head nestled comfily into a hard plastic box, topped as always with the biro tip topper. The chest is clean and classy, and can we just enjoy the no reason open hand there? Like, this one's obviously for weapons, and this one's just for looking sick, but can also hold weapons? Why make him different then? There's no need, and we respect it. Articulation's unsurprisingly top tier, with I think the day's only ankle rockers. Siege ports are unobtrusively in the house, seamlessly melded into the fluoro freak show as nice lumpy bulb clumps with rosy centers. Rifle's looking straightforwardly sweet, but did the blast effect have to be this purple and veiny? I don't like that it curves upward. And there is a lot of backpack, but of course there is. It's kind of baked in. What did we expect? How much time have we spent with this guy? And for what it is, it's actually remarkably solid and kind of spectacular. There's like layers to it, because we have the outer spaceship shell, but also these sick-ass Batfink wings. It's like a constant WWE walkout. Just an eruption that follows him around and announces him everywhere he goes. I want one. You know a backpack's good when it actually helps. So yeah, robot mode's an absolute charisma bomb, stealing the show with appropriate aplomb. Studio series? This is more like theater series. Transformation is, guess what, very cape-centric. It feels good though. It like unravels and unveils majestically. That deep shoulder dip keeps it fresh, and there's some neat collapsey moments to keep you on your toes, like my mental health in 2020 when I wrote this. And so we arrive at the, as of recording, ultimate Scourge spaceship mode, and it delights me to say, it's alright. That Voyager upgrade was so long coming, and it sorted him right out. It's plenty pointy and deeply detailed, boasting a bounty of those silly swooshes that defined the 86 aesthetic. And is that spiderwebby window a Botcon callback? God, I hope so. Love the tapered tower trio and tasteful step down into the lighter coloured hull. And the Decepticon badge looks so dope there. Front and centre and perfectly aligned. That was such a ballsy move putting it on the clamshell close. I do wish they'd kept the underside a smidge cleaner though. Like, it's not the most naked he's ever been, but it ain't great. You can see his whole feet and hands. The curse of the underkibble has got so bad it's even spilling out the back now. It's just a slight drag, you know? It sort of peels a whole layer of shine off the whole guy. But you know what? We did okay. This is a gorgeous version of the thing that Scourge turns into. It does the face thing. They pulled it off. They pulled it off like Ultra Magnus's limbs in that deleted scene. And that was where this video was supposed to end and allow the live-action movies to take the wheel of the Scourge war rig. But they couldn't let it lie, could they? Because those colours just ain't quite there, are they? Doesn't he just feel a little moody and weird and lacking that bright pop we loved on the first toy? It's almost like they colour picked it from that one particular backdrop moment, which I'll remind you was during an act of resurrective metamorphosis achieved by a chaos deity via laser beams in space. It's not going to translate to your living room lighting, is it? So they generously deigned to allow us to double dip with the toy-coloured version that I would have bought in the first place. Well, it's out for the ostensible Voyager class army builder, Studio Series 86, Sweep! God, I hate that name, don't you? Oh, look out. Here come the sweeps. Gonna have a nice tidy up, governor. Gonna give the old homestead a good brush up, is it? Chim chimity chim chim chiree, is it? Can't wait for Legacy United Sooty and Sue. Sorry. So it's just the same guy in sharper colours, same backdrop, same gun, different hands for some reason. It's a repaint, you get it. But is this toy colours though? Like, the hero blue is brighter, but he's still rocking that same faint lavender around the trim rather than the original's Parisian moonlight white. Tough to tell under the lights, but trust me, it's not right. I don't know, I do prefer this one, and it's difficult to feel like I got. But man, it's not easy looking back at the photos I took before this project collapsed under its own weight. They're literal snapshots of the time before I swapped out both Cyclonus and Scourge for their toy-themed doppelgangers. And let's not forget I briefly had both Galvatrons, and I bought a Unicron. This video is a museum of dopey collector brain decisions and predatory repaint practices. Classics vs. Henkei ain't never gonna die. Look, I make my own choices, okay? I massively prefer Sweep's colours, it was a Prezi, and I'll do what I want with my collection, thank you very much. So back off, perfectly nice viewer who didn't even say anything. And that just about brings us up to date. You know, as long as we will ourselves blind to the rise of the Scourge of the rise of the beasts. Because as we so often see in the Transformer world, the name Scourge is a hydra of diverging destinies. A convergently evolving figurehead/figureheads of the infinite possibilities bestowed upon us by the ever-branching Transformers Yggdrasil. And I think there's room for all versions to flourish. Be they traditional, ephemeral, or radical enough to break away and thrive on their own terms. What I'm saying is, Scourge is cool as shit. I'm glad I came back to finish this video, and I'll be back for Truck Scourge another day. Alright, still gotta follow up on skids, yeah? Point is, there's always gonna be more to see, and isn't that wonderful? We are spoiled. So friends, thank you for walking with me along this most forked of paths. Enormous thanks to everybody who made this video possible. Brentosaur, Backslide Dan, Carl Magus, Cardcore Gamer Colin, Jules Prime, Random Canada Brandon, and all my wonderful cross-platform supporters, wherever you may be. I've been Thew, this has been a mission and a privilege, and until next time, nice hat. Man, 3 years. This has got to be the longest lead time of any video I've ever made. Like, a lot of the time I'm like, oh, I'll do it later, but it's very rare I start something and then wait 3 years to finish it. And we are done. Thank you so much for watching. Cheers to everybody again for supporting me. Please do consider being a patron or a member if you want to get early access to stuff and other benefits. Big thanks especially this time to the Human Ewok. Chihuahua. Bye!
Be sure to subscribe for more Thew's awesome Transformers reviews. Limited appeal, keeping it real.